What's up, lads? It's your new favorite theory crafter, Victory Flare. While we're all waiting in terror for Power of the Elements on the horizon, we've got a nice little reprint set in between with a few interesting things to go over. The big thing with this set is accessibility. There are a lot of cards here that were climbing up in price and simply weren't worth it. So if you were building a deck for locals and wanted to play, say, Synchrons, there was no way you were going to spend $60 on a playset connector. So a lot of these are very welcome. There are a few noteworthy decks I want to touch on here that, while not groundbreaking, are pretty interesting and deserve some time in the sun. First set of cards I want to talk about is the Predaplant cards. There's a couple of ways you can apply these, but I feel the best way to use them is in a branded variant. Yeah, I know, super creative. But in all seriousness, these cards have some pretty good synergies in this type of setting. Both themes are very fusion focused and don't really need to dip outside of that to play properly, which is more than some branded variants can already say. The two lead into each other very naturally as well, with Scorpio being able to summon out Cobra and added Branded Fusion, or Branded Fusion being able to send Biblisp to add Scorpio for an expanded play from there. The Predaplant engine also offers some nice tools to the branded deck. They're very welcome in the form of Triff and Venom, as well as planning being able to turn Stapelia into a board-wide imperm of sorts. The build I'm showing here is a touch lighter on the Predaplant engine than some others I've seen, and that's because I think it works better having access to the Despia cards in here and using these to augment them, since the branded Despia core has proven itself to be the most solid way to be successful with the deck. Alternatively, you could trim some of that out and play a more Predaplant focused build. It's going to be weaker to interaction, but does have a higher ceiling in return. The decision's yours to make there. Either way, it's great to see fusion strategies get some love, and we're definitely going to be seeing more of that going into the future, what with Power of the Elements introducing the Tier Elements deck. I'll definitely be covering those in depth in the future, so be sure to subscribe to stay updated on that. Another deck that becomes more accessible in this set is a personal favorite of mine, Synchrons. I remember picking this deck up when I first started playing and feeling like some kind of little mastermind because no one else had any idea what was going on. As time has gone on, this deck has gone from a fun fishbowl to something that I would confidently say is an underrated rogue pick. It's gained access to a good number of ways to bypass its normal summon with cards like Overtake, which can add or summon Junk Synchron from your deck, or general extenders like Dawnwalker, which can put 2 bodies on board, ready to sync 8 or just be extra bodies that you can have. Synchros as a card pool have also just gotten much stronger over time, to the point where they're some of the most powerful cards in a lot of regular extra decks too. Cards like Barone or Savage Dragon or Crystal Wing come to mind here. Does this mean that you should expect to see it taking Tier 1 events? Maybe not, but it checks a lot of the same boxes that other notable rogue strategies do, and has gotten notably less fragile. So I'd say this is certainly a deck that you could take to a locals or a regionals and definitely steal some games with. Overall, another really solid pick, especially if combo decks are something that you find really enjoyable. The last actual deck I wanted to cover today is Heroes. This deck actually managed to take first place at Greek Nats this year, and this list you're seeing is closely based off of that. The more of these cards that get reprinted, the less of your oil baron money you have to spend to acquire it, which makes it very welcome in a set like this. Heroes have the unique upshot of being one of the few decks that still has decent access to DPE, which is still a great card, despite it no longer being a Link 2 monster. It can make fairly unique use of Super Poly as well, with cards like Great Tornado being able to take care of opposing Griffin or Barone. They also have a pretty cute play with Destiny Hero Dark Angel, which you'll see in the list over here, which essentially locks down your opponent's spells. It just negates them as soon as they're activated. So outside of cases like paying cost for Droplet, there aren't really a lot of common ways to get rid of this. And if you have Darklaw up, they can't even do that, so it functionally just turns off spells for your opponent, which is really nice. All in all, Heroes is one of those decks that's pretty much always going to have some kind of background presence, even occasionally coming into the foreground like we saw with Greek Nats. And having a deck like that be more accessible to more of the people who want to play it is always just something that I find to be welcome. To round things off, I just wanted to give a quick mention to Magician's Souls. This card's always been a favorite of mine just because of how versatile it can be. It's a free extender that can cycle back row cards for draws, and what's fun about that is the potential gains you can get if those cards you send have additional effects. So this card has a home in a lot of strategies like Lunalite, Metal Foes, and even the pile decks that have been going around. You're really only bound by your imagination with this card, which is exactly what I love about it. All in all, we've got some pretty nice things here. Personally, looking at this makes me want to revisit Synchrons in my free time again. Look forward to more things like this in the future for more sets like Power of the Elements, which are going to be a real trip to talk about. I wanted to try this out as a proof of concept, so if there's anything you think I should pay more attention to in the future with breakdowns like this, then let me know in the comments. If more discussion in theory crafting interests you, then feel free to subscribe, because I have a lot of upcoming things I want to go into. Until then, you guys have a great day, and I'll see you next time.